Good morning, everyone. So I wanted to make a quick video this morning. I have mentioned some health issues, and part of why I wanted to do all this to begin with was because I had a big change almost 3 years ago in my health, and that is what has led me to where I am. So I want to share that. I have a cat who wants to be part of the video today too. Say hi, Loki. Anyway. God forbid he not be in the same room as me and I'm outside. So anyway, sorry. So my whole life, I've had a bunch of things happen. I've had asthma my whole life. Most people say you can't diagnose asthma until kids are older. I was diagnosed pretty much at birth. I was on a ton of meds until I was 5 or 6, and we moved up here in New England. My asthma, get down off the door. My asthma was my asthma was non-existent until my teen years, and then it came back with a vengeance and stopped me from doing a lot of the things that I was doing. So I used to wake up as a kid with horrible, horrible leg cramps. I feel like that's not an uncommon thing. I felt like that was normal, like they're growing pains. I'm a tall woman. I'm 5'8.5". In the morning, I shrink now, apparently, over the day. I don't know what's up with that, because if I have an appointment in the morning, I'm 5'8.5". If I have an appointment in the afternoon, I'm 5'7.75". Whatever. I'm old. So anyway, other things that happened, like I said, the multiple strains and sprains, nothing I thought was out of the ordinary. I started working out when I was 13. Actually, I was probably 12 when I started actually working out with the football players in weight training class. It was one of those extra classes you can do in middle school. It was supposed to be for the boys only. So I went straight up at the coach and I was like, "Do you think I want to flirt with any of these guys?" No. And he knew that I was actually not going to be flirting with them. Sorry, guys. I know a bunch of you guys are my friends. But so I started working out with the football players. I got my first Gold's Gym weight bench for Christmas when I was 13. And I have lifted my whole life. I've lifted, I've worked out, I've been active. I was a all-star softball player. I took horseback riding lessons. I walked everywhere. I started working when I was 14 and worked way more than, I don't know if there weren't laws then or what, but I worked way more than you should have. I actually had a paycheck stub years ago. It was 50 hours in the week that I had worked. And I was like 14 or 15 at the time. So yeah, going to school full time and working like that. So my whole life I've been a super hard worker. I graduated high school at 16. Again, I'm not telling you that because I think I'm cool. I'm telling you that just so you have the facts. I had was working 3 jobs because I thought I was going to be cool and move out on my own and do all things. Yeah. So anyway, had my son at 18, became a single mom by 19, worked my ass off, met my second husband. We were together for 10 years. And this is all relevant because of, pregnancies, things like that. I had trouble with my first pregnancy. I bled a few times. I was hospitalized. I almost bled out after I had him. They almost had to do an emergency hysterectomy when I was 18. That would have sucked because I would have never had my daughter, who I love dearly. I had some health issues. I had my daughter in my early 20s. I had her early. I had a very small placenta, and it was pooping out on me. And so she was almost a month early. She did great. She's great now. I had a couple bleeding episodes with her. I had a huge cluster migraine, a 3-week-long migraine just as I entered my 3rd trimester with her. God, it was one of the worst things of my experience in my entire life. I think I literally spent 3 weeks on the couch in tears. No noise, no sound, nothing, like no light at all. My poor husband at the time and family, we were moving into a larger apartment because I was still in school and nursing school, and we were having another child, so we needed a bigger place. And my poor husband and my mother basically had to move me. They had to move the bed first so that I could move from the couch at one apartment to the bed at the other one in a dark room. It was awful. So anyway, when my daughter was about 1, I had a hospitalization for extreme pain. We couldn't figure out why. They found some things during that. Again, explain them away. That prior winter, I had been diagnosed with Raynaud's. which is when your hands and feet lose circulation in extreme, not even extreme cold. I mean, it can happen like when I can't break up hamburger meat. If I go to break up hamburger meat, I can, but I have to do it in small amounts. My hands will turn bright white. They lose circulation completely. It's and it hurts really bad. I can't put my feet in the ocean anymore. It's awful. I grew up on the ocean. I grew up in the ocean. But the water is too cold. It physically hurts for me to go in the water. So lakes and ponds it is. Moving forward from that, I had, little things on it, but still throwing my back out, spraining things. I started having what they call arthritic reactions to strep, where literally your entire body is in so much physical pain. I can't even describe it unless you've ever been through it. If I got strep, I had a bout of strep. It was 5 weeks long. It took 3 different antibiotics to fix. And I was having temperatures of 103, 104. Sorry, a logging truck is going by. Benefits of literally living in the mountains. And I'll show you guys in a minute. It's beautiful here. So anyway, so in my early 30s, not much going on. All of a sudden at 35, about 6 months before I turned 35, I started waking up with, I felt like there was a vice around my chest. I could take very, very, very small breaths, and that was it. And almost like a panic attack, except for I had been sleeping. I would wake up like this, and I couldn't for the life of me figure out what the heck that was about. I had been doing a program with a trainer to lose weight. Not that I was, severely overweight, but I was overweight for what I like to be. And I've worked out my whole life. My second husband, who I was with for 10 years, was a personal trainer. And I knew plenty, but my nutrition wasn't as good as it could have been. So I was working with another nurse from work who was also a physical fitness expert and was losing weight, feeling great. So eating super clean, being super healthy. So we're coming up on my 35th birthday now. I had 2 bouts with my breathing that prior May and that prior July. That I had been on prednisone for like 2 weeks straight each. Talk about trying to lose weight and be on prednisone. That was difficult. Anyway, so I was working full time. I was, hired for 36 hours as a critical care nurse, working. The week I got sick, I was scheduled 60. That tells you anything. I'd pick up just about any overtime that I could. We had a big family, a big house. And I was going to school not full time. I was just taking one class at a time for my BSN, plus the house, plus the kids, plus volunteering at the kids' school, going to the gym 5-6 days a week, sleeping odd schedules, night nurses in general, but night nurses tend to do that. Here comes another giant truck. So I'm sorry. Anyway, and 3 days before I turned 35, November 9th of 2015, I thought I, had a migraine. I had a little bit of a migraine. I really wasn't feeling right. I did not go to work. I wasn't scheduled. It was a Monday. I wasn't scheduled again until that Friday, Friday the 13th. And by that Friday, my breathing was really poor. So I went to urgent care. And I said, throw some, typical nurse mom, me, throw some steroids at me. I got my breathing machine in the car. I'll hide in an empty room and take treatments if I need to. The look on the doctor's face, she thought I was crazy. And that probably is crazy, but that's just who I was. I just, I knew I was in charge for the weekend. That affords you a little more leeway, I guess. So, and I knew my night nurses, I love them, and I knew that they would, support me. So, and I knew it wasn't anything catchy. It was my asthma. Nobody can catch my asthma. So, the doctor looked at me, told me I was nuts, and refused to let me go to work. She wrote me a letter for the next 2 nights, and then ended up writing me a letter for the whole weekend, both just to be safe. I never went back to work. A year later, 9 months later, when they did a functional capacity evaluation, not a functional capacity evaluation, cardiopulmonary stress test. When they did that a year later, I had 6% lung reserve. Now, I know most people, I didn't, even as a critical care nurse, I had to look that up. I had to be explained that by my very amazing pulmonologist. He knows who he is. He was a friend as well as my pulmonologist, a coworker as well as my pulmonologist, who was trying very hard to get me better and get me back to work. So when what that means, most people have a 30% lung reserve. So when you get up out of bed, the moment you start moving, the moment you start expending any extra energy, you start breaking into what is called your lung reserve. It's the portion of your lungs that you don't use until you're active. So that 30%, though, it doesn't sound like a lot, but that 30% for most people is plenty. You don't get down to your 6% unless you're doing extreme cardiac workout. Most people. I only had 6%. So the moment I sat up in bed, the moment I started talking, the moment I started walking, the moment I started doing anything, I was already using that 6% that other people don't use unless they're doing extreme cardiac workout. So, least to say, I couldn't do a lot. It took me almost a year not to cry when I would say that I don't think I'm going to be able to go back to critical care nursing. That is how much I loved my job. I was that lucky. Most people aren't that lucky. I truly love to heal people. I truly loved my job. So, fast forward another year, I'm still having a really hard time rehabbing. Now we're talking, just about a year ago now. I have been in therapy. I have been, this is after we found the cyst on my pancreas, and I had really started taking much better care of my health. I had finally quit smoking, and I know how dumb that sounds with asthma and breathing issues when you're angry at your body. And I don't really have a lot of vices. I never have. I know people have thought that I have in the past, but I haven't. So, that I was angry. I was really angry. So anyway, I didn't quit smoking until that April. My doctors all knew that. I was eating better. I was being more active. I was really taking care of my head and my heart, or trying to, in the best way that I could. Last October, I did change my living situation in order to get my head even better. And at that point, I was really able to focus on my health too, my eating even better. So you will see in the thumbnail, I will put up my progress photo. It's from March 2nd to July 2nd of this year. And the first 3 months I was too embarrassed to even take a picture. So this is just those 4 months. And it's not because I think I'm cool. It's because I got a diagnosis the other day of something called Hypermobile Elhers Danlos syndrome. It is a genetic condition. It is a connective tissue disorder. It affects every part of the body. It is not benign. It is progressive. And some of the major symptoms that I've been having, that I've reported since all this started in November of 2015 is, like I had said the other day, I think it was yesterday in my video, I get chest pain. I get dizzy. I get so tired that I feel like my arms and limbs are 1,000 pounds apiece, and I just can't physically do anything else for the day. I go to bed some days at 5 p.m. I make sure everything's taken care of. I make sure my daughter has what she needs. I make sure she knows that she can come get me if she needs anything. It's a small house, which is why I'm outside. There's a bunch of people sleeping inside, and I don't want to wake anybody up. And I have days that I sleep 12, 13, 14 hours. I did the other night when I went to bed after my doctor's appointments the other day. I slept 13 and a half hours, and I was still tired the next day. This is all part of the Ehlers-Danlos. The other thing I get to look forward to is randomly dislocating joints. So I haven't had anything randomly dislocate yet, but in October I rolled over to turn off my alarm clock and strained my rotator and my deltoid in my left shoulder because my shoulder gave out. And in February, I dinged my knee and ended up in PT for that. And then a couple of months ago, in my sleep, rolling over by myself in bed, I strained my rotator cuff and my deltoid in my right shoulder. These are all part of Ehlers-Danlos and the progression of. Now that I know what I have, there is very specific PT that I can do. I need to buy the book and get started. I'm not looking for sympathy. I think the universe did this for a reason. I love to heal people as a critical care nurse, and now I feel like I can heal people through my new diagnosis. And my experience with becoming physically disabled. You don't have to lay down and give up. And that's what I did. I did that for probably the first, 6-9 months. And then I stood up and started to fight a little bit. I thought I was fighting like I should be. And then last February, I started seeing my therapist, and I started realizing maybe I wasn't treating myself as best as I could. And I really started to fight for my health and for my well-being. I had to make some very hard choices and some very hard changes in order to get where I am. Most people would not agree with them. I'm not going to share those publicly. There are people that know them, and those are the people that need to know them. And if it's decided that I share those publicly later, that's fine. But it's not all my story to tell, so I'm not going to tell that right now. But I did get happy. I did get healthy. I did get whole. And I have made some really great progress, even not knowing up until 2 days ago what I had. I didn't need a diagnosis anymore. I watched this. He's a YouTuber as well. I think his name is BEN MUDGE. I would have to look it up. Please don't take me. I'll add a comment later with his YouTube page. He is a man who is a physical fitness expert, and he has cystic fibrosis. And the video that I watched with him in it, he said, I only give my disease the amount of attention it needs, and then I go about the rest of my life. And that really hit me. It really made me stand up and go, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. And I had seen something else that said, if a project seems really big, do 20 minutes at a time. So that's what I would do. I'd do 20 minutes of lighthouse work, and I would sit down and rest. If I could do the 20 minutes, I couldn't always do the 20 minutes. And sometimes lighthouse work, even picking up the laundry basket from the bathroom and carrying it out to the washer and dryer, which was probably 100 feet, would make me so dizzy or give me chest pain, and I would have to stop for the whole day, which sucked. But I stopped judging myself for it, and I just dealt with it, and I'd start over again the next day, or I'd do what I could. And that's all you can do, is do the best you can every day, and stop making yourself feel worse for something your body or your mind or your heart won't let you do. So this video is getting a little long, so I'm going to stop here just because I don't want to make these so long that they're not convenient, I guess, to watch, and give you so much information at once that it overwhelms people. So I will continue my story tomorrow, maybe give you some more ideas of how I made the changes that I've made to get where I am, only in hopes that it helps you, because it's not the same for everybody. It may not, what I have done may not work for you. I can guarantee you my way of life is very difficult for a lot of people. So find what works for you. And I will give some ideas in the future about how there are other ways to do things that I have done. I'm going to do a quick 180 here, or 360 rather, to show you one of the things that I had to do was move. And I want to show you just a little piece of my mountain here, because this is one of the major things that has helped me truly heal, is my environment. So I want to show you, look, this is the look, out my front door here with me in it, in my little house. And I think people are starting to get up inside here. The large cat is going crazy. So anyway, hope you're all having a wonderful Friday. Light and love. And if this has helped you in any way, please like, share, comment, subscribe. Those are the things I'm supposed to say every day, right? So again, like I said, if this gets out to the few people that it gets out to, I'm okay with that too. As a nurse, I can only help 1 or 2 people a day. And there are already 17 people that have subscribed. So that's a pretty damn good day as a nurse. Anyway, have a wonderful day. Have a wonderful weekend. I will try to check in tomorrow. I don't know that I will. Life gets a little crazier sometimes on the weekends, because that's when other people expect you to do things. Have a wonderful day, guys. Bye.